Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Our World Hour of Power. Another show today. Here with Lady Pauline and my co host, Mr. Glenn Greenwich, the Honorable Mayor of Southern Boulevard here in Queens, New York. Hi, Glenn. How are you today?
I'm great, Pauline. How you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, we
Good.
have a young lady today that's our guest. And I have to take my hat off to her right away and say congratulations to Miss Dawn Kelly from the Nourish Spot who created it. She is the owner. She has done everything from the bottom all the way to the top. And the other day, Dawn, I saw you on TV and I was like, oh my goodness, you're on Channel 2 News. You have reached the big times here, girl. And I wanted to say congratulations and I'm so proud of you. And welcome to our world today.
Thank you so much, Pauline, for inviting me back to our world. Great to see you, Glenn. It's
Absolutely.
it's nice. It's nice to be interacting with you guys virtually. I can't wait till we can interact in person.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to say that this is the first interview that we had it's more than a year ago actually,
Yes,
I
a little
think.
bit more than a year ago. Yeah.
Yes.
And so Dawn, you were one of the first people that we wanted to feature as an entrepreneur in Southeast Queens. And you come back a year later and you're on top of the world, girlfriend. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
that's
So
wonderful.
so before we get started, tell people what you do at the Nourish Spot. What is the Nourish Spot?
Well, the Nourish Spot, thank you so much, Glenn. The Nourish Spot is a healthy food and beverage haven here in Southeast Jamaica, Queens. We're located on 10705 Guy Arbor Boulevard, and we provide fresh organic fruits and vegetables and other foodstuffs that customers who we affectionately call nourishers can customize into salads, smoothies, sandwich wraps, fresh, natural cold pressed juices, Greek yogurt parfaits, soup, and so much more. We even have protein waffles, Belgian protein waffles.
Oh my
My
God.
goodness.
You still serving your mango special juice? Because I miss it.
Yes,
Yeah.
our pineapple, our pineapple mango tango is actually one of the top smoothies that we offer at the Nourish Spot. And you know what else we're still doing? We're still providing jobs and opportunities to young people from the Southeast Queens community, both through internship training programs as well as once they graduate from those programs, we're offering them part-time fair wage paying jobs.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome, Dawn. I mean, what an awesome opportunity for the community. Now, I want to ask you something. Being that we're in a pandemic, how has your business been going, and what changes have you seen in a positive way as far as the Nourish Spot? What has it contributed to people that has been sick and ailing in the community?
Well, that's a great question, Pauline. And we've had to pivot in a couple of ways. So when the shutdown happened, and I'm actually marking March 16th as my day because that's the day when I officially locked the doors to customers coming into the Nourish Spot, and we pivoted to curbside pickup and food delivery apps. And while we miss the interaction with our customers in store, I've tried my best to interact with them at the door in as kind of way as possible. And I've been writing little notes on the bags of our customers' orders, just as a way to thank them for being supportive of us and allowing us to help them nourish their temples with love.
Uh,
Additionally, we changed our hours because, as you know, many of the stores shut down during the pandemic. And so it wasn't many stores on God Brewer near us that were open. And so to be safe, we condensed our hours a little bit. So instead of being open till 7 p.m. daily, we changed our hours to 9:30 to 6 Monday through Friday, and 10 to 6 on Saturday. And then we also created a QR code, and I can't take credit for that. One of the things that I try to do on Sundays, even during the pandemic, is support other Black owned businesses in our community. And so one Sunday, a friend of mine and myself went to Queens Bully, which is a restaurant on Queens Boulevard. And I noticed that they were using a QR code for their customers to review their menu, to make sure that there was less contact as possible between the waiter and the customers. And so I captured that idea. I called my tech savvy daughter, Jade, who's our COO, and I said, we need a QR code. And so she created it immediately. I carry one around with me in my car so people can scan it on their phones. And I also put one up in the window of the Nourish Spot so people can capture it when they come to visit us, and they can order from their homes or from their car, and then makes it easy for them to pick it up, and they don't have to waste a lot of their time.
Okay.
That's awesome. I actually use my QR card on my business card for my website
Good.
though, not for
Yeah.
menus. So it's very useful. How else have you had to manage your menu? What other changes did you have to make to the menu to accommodate for COVID?
Well, in actuality, I didn't have to change the menu too much, except maybe buy more stuff, Glenn, because all all doctors and medical professionals have been advocating since March for individuals to consume more fruits and vegetables, to eat a better plant-based diet in order to keep themselves inoculated against COVID. And so as a result of that, we've been lucky and blessed actually, to have so many more customers actually coming to us, right? To make sure that they were including, organic produce and lots of plants in their diet.
Now,
Well, as you know, that the immune system needs all of that to fend off anything. So COVID really helped your business uh, grow even. Isn't that
It
something?
did. It did. You guys know I'm a Christian. I believe in God, and there's a lot of scriptures that come to mind. But one in particular that kept ringing true to me during 2020 was, you were established for such a time as this. We were doing okay in 2017 and 2018 and 2019. We were doing okay. We were still building awareness. We were still building the brand. We were still, informing people of what our business and value proposition was and why they should come and allow us to nourish them. But once COVID hit, and you couldn't turn on the TV without a doctor saying, get some spinach, get some ginger, get some turmeric. And these are all the things that we were already providing to our customers. And so I think the customers we already had, they doubled down, right, on ordering food. And then new people were learning about us, and then they became our customers as well. I'm really proud of the, captive customers we have. We really have a lot of returning customers that tell us that they're really happy that we exist. They offer us ideas of things to offer. So one thing that we did start offering is sea moss, because a lot of our customers, yes, were asking for sea moss, and we were not offering it. But what we did is we sought out some Black vendors in the Southeast Queens community, and we found two. And so they are our suppliers for CMOS. And so I'm glad that we're able to offer that to the community as well now.
Okay, Dawn. Now, being that we are still in the pandemic, what are, I know you had mentioned certain fruits and vegetables, but really, what do you recommend uh, people should really be focusing on as far as healthy eating? What type of food, really?
Well, one thing, did you know that March was National Nutrition Month? I didn't even know that. I'm
No.
learning. I'm learning so much these days. So yes, March is actually National Nutrition Month. And as a result of that, there's a lot of dietitians that are out here advocating for people to be really mindful about what they're, consuming. And so what I would recommend, we offer wheatgrass at the Nourish Spot. And wheatgrass contains every known vitamin and mineral that man or woman's body needs in order to be healthy. So one of the things I recommend to everybody is try to take at least 1 or 2 wheatgrass shots a week. Another thing is inflammation. One of the byproducts of COVID is inflammation in the body. And so we are advocating for our customers and, people that are not customers, just anybody, to make sure that they have turmeric in their diet as well, because turmeric helps to fight inflammation in the body. And one tip, if you are using turmeric, make sure you put a little black pepper in it, because the black pepper activates the agent in turmeric called curcumin. It actually activates it and makes it just that much more beneficial to your body.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
I didn't know that.
one of
Yes.
our Facebook people asked, "What are the benefits of CMOS?"
Well,
Blaine.
that's one of my good friends, Blaine. Hi,
Okay.
Blaine. Thank you for joining today. The benefits of CMOS are so many, like they're vast. But one is good for your blood. Okay. It also helps with inflammation. Um, and it has also a number of vitamins and minerals that your body needs. It helps with generation. So there's a whole host of benefits that CMOS adds to you. And so we wanted to make sure that it was available for all our customers to take advantage of it if that's something that they want.
Yeah,
And
you,
it's a very prevalent beverage in the Caribbean community.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And we all know that Southeast Queens is home to many people from the Caribbean. And that's the great thing about the Nourish Spot, because we carry a plethora of a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. We are able to satisfy the palate and the dietary needs of a whole host of people that live in our community.
yeah. Dawn, how did you come up with the Nourish Spot? What made you decide to start this type of business per se?
Well, in 2015, my role at Prudential Financial was eliminated. And honestly, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with the rest of my life. Initially, I started a PR firm with a girlfriend of mine called Metropolis Group, which sometimes lays dormant until we get an extraordinary client. Um, but I knew that there was more for me to do. And so I just kept praying. And one day I was watching CNN after coming home from an interview I had walked out of. And I was kind of distraught because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And when the segment came on, it was about Styles P, who is a entrepreneur himself and a rap artist. He had started a juice bar in Westchester called Juices for Life. and I was intrigued by it. And that really started my journey. I knew that I did not want to um, be in business with anyone else. I wanted to start my own and leave a legacy for my two children, my son Owen and my daughter Jade. And I wanted it to be ours. And so I just kept praying to God for um, the right name. And at first, I was going to call it Eden, like the Garden of Eden, right?
Uh-huh.
Because
Mm-hmm.
that's where Adam and Eve were. But when we looked to trademark the name, there were too many businesses with the word Eden in the name. And so, how I came up with Nourish is I have to give credit to Reverend Elaine at Greater Allen Cathedral, because I was sitting in church, kind of forlorn because I didn't have a name for the business and we needed to open. And I was praying while she was delivering the sermon. And she happened to say something about how Jesus will nourish you. And I kid you not, I yelled, "That's it! That's it! That's the people next to me looked at me like I was crazy." But I was set. I knew the name. I came home that day. I called my lawyer. Immediately, I told him that I wanted to change the name of the store to the Nourish Spot, and he should start doing the trademarking. And here we are today with the name. So that's really it's a divine journey. You know, I was on my own health journey after being in corporate America for about 15 years. And eating at all crazy times because I traveled all over the world for Prudential, and being up at crazy times because I would work in the States, from 9 to 5 or 10 to 6, and then come home. And then my colleagues in Japan would call me, because now it's their day starts when our day ends. So my weight suffered. And so as a result, I was on my own health journey at the end of 2015. And so the Nourish Spot, in my opinion, is just a natural alignment with what was already going on in my life. And the last and most important thing is I love my hood. This is my grandfather raised my mother in this area. I grew up in Cambridge Heights and Laurelton. So Jamaica is my life, and I care a lot about the people here. I care about just how we are living, how we're viewed, and if there's anything I could do to make our lives better, that's something that I try to do every day.
That's wonderful. Right now, we have to pause for a commercial, and we'll be right back with you, Dawn.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. But first, are you a small business owner looking for solutions? TMI and Partners is a business solution company offering operational, branding, and financial solution. For only $9.99 a month, your company will be assigned a personal business advisor. Well, that's right, only $9.99 per month, no contract, and you're on your way. Call TMI at 347-234-5304. That's 347-234-5304. Or visit their website at tmium.com. Tomorrow, the world will know your business. Is that it, guys? Hello? Did I do good?
Hi, this is attorney Stephen G. James. We've been practicing law at this law firm for over 30 years. I'm a former assistant prosecutor in Kings County and currently a defense attorney to serve you better. We work harder to serve you better. So just call us for the lawyers you can trust. 646-905-9000. 646-905-7001. We're located on Sutphin Boulevard, right near Hillside here in Jamaica, Queens, New York, for over 30 years serving the community. The law firm of Stephen G. James. Thank you.
COVID-19 has hit our community real hard.
We're dying from coronavirus at almost double the national rate.
If we come together, we have the power to save what matters to us, our Black lives.
There's power in protecting your loved ones.
There's power in wearing a mask and social distancing.
There's power in knowing the facts and using your voice.
Let's fight COVID-19. Visit bethepowerofus.org.
I'll be here to hear what's on your mind. Take this time to talk and get it right. You know I'll be there all your life. When you need me, I'll be by your side. By your side. And every day is a different day. Everything is in everything. Even when you think things can never ever be the same. Don't be scared of the world, I'll be here to stay. By your side. Even when your heart ain't listening, or your mind takes you a different way, towards a different path. All you gotta do is sit and ask. When you need me, I'll be by your side.
When the adults in a child's life talk early and often about the dangers of underage drinking, the message gets stronger every time.
I'll be by your side.
Talk. They hear you.
Kelly, back with Dawn Kelly from the Nourish Spot. Oh boy, Dawn, I remember when I spoke to you last year. I know I asked you how did you get funded and so forth, and you said you weren't funded. That you had basically started the business from your own personal money and so forth. And my thing is, how can people follow your model? I mean, you have done so great in the past 4 or 5 years. I mean, as I said, I take my hat off to you. And then I saw you on television on Channel 2, this week. And you was, being recognized, and you got some money from, I believe, the government.
Well, so let me tell you. So, yes, I did fund the Nourish Spot with my own funds because when I was working for Prudential Financial, we did a study about African American financial behaviors twice. And during that study, we found that more often than not, when startups, and not necessarily just Black-led startups, but startups in general, when they went to banks looking for money, they often couldn't get them. Now, add on the layer of being an African American or an African American female, and that just brought the opportunity down to a dismal, 1 or 2%. So I'll be very honest, I didn't even think to go to a bank. I wanted to fund the opportunity myself if possible. And that's what I did. Because one of the things I realized while learning about how to establish a business in New York City from the New York City Small Business Solutions Center, that there are a lot of steps and a lot of entities that you have to pay in order to be in business. I mean, there's payroll taxes for the state and for the federal. There's, Con Edison. There's for your sanitation. Let's not even talk about paying somebody $15 an hour. Okay, so salaries, right? So there's, and then the food, buying the food, paying for my my system in order to take cash from you guys, or credit cards. So there are a lot of different pieces in order to make a business work. And for me to do it, I realized that I also needed training because I worked my whole career. I mean, I've been working since I was 12 years old. And not because my mother and them made me work, is I always like to have my own money. And so I knew that if I wanted this to go the way I wanted it to, I needed to be in the lead. I needed to be the one calling the shots. And the only way you call the shots is if you're holding the purse strings. And so I invested in myself. That's something that I often told my staff when I was an executive, that sometimes the company won't teach you the things you need. And sometimes they don't have the funding to send you to the classes that you need. So you have to take a bet on yourself, if you will, and you have to invest in yourself. And at the end of the year, you could take that investment off on your taxes. And so I've always been a person that will invest in myself. And so I got the money out the bank, and I paid the vendors how I had to pay them. Now, in 2020, a marvelous thing occurred during COVID. Um, there was a reckoning in the United States about the wealth gap between white Americans and Black Americans. Now, I'm sure that discussion is going to widen, as we march through 2021 and 2022, because there are other groups in the United States that have been marginalized. But we're going to start first with us, because we are the descendants of enslaved Africans, and America owes us a debt of justice that I'm not sure they have the ability to pay, really. But companies, brands that care about their customers and the public at large, they are putting their money where their mouth is. And they have been setting up lots of grant opportunities for Black owned businesses. And one thing that I'm good at is writing a narrative about my business. I spent 30 something years as a public relations executive promoting people, places, and things for other brands. And my work was award winning. So if I could do it for them, then wait, why shouldn't I do it for us? And so every single grant opportunity that came my way, if we were remotely qualified, I applied. And not only did I apply for those grants, I made sure to share that grant information with every single Black business owner that I knew in the community that could use the information. Now, my mother always told me, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So I did my best by giving the information out. But then I had to focus on completing the applications and submitting them. So with the help of my daughter, Jade, as I mentioned, who is our COO, Chief Operating Officer, I was able to fill out numerous, and I tell you, I probably filled out about 50 different applications for grants between March of 2020 and March of 2021. And I'm really happy to report that we got a lot of them. And we got a lot of them because we had people in the community that put a kind word in for us. I want to thank the Jamaica Bid. I want to thank Greater Jamaica. I want to thank all of our legislative leaders, Leroy Comrie and Senator Leroy Comrie, and our Congressman Gregory Meeks. I had a lot of help from all of the fraternities and sororities in Jamaica. They kept coming to the Nourish Spot, partnering with us to feed disadvantaged and marginalized people, the veterans. Even First Lady Simone Meeks worked with us to feed some of the firehouses out in Rockaway. So, partnering with the community as well as competing for all of these grants, that is the way that I was able to keep the business open, keeping the kids employed. And then the most important thing is that we mask up every day. We already use gloves, but we use gloves even more during COVID to make sure that we remain safe inside the store, and that the food that we sent out the store was also safe and secure. So I'm really, really proud of how we've been able to navigate this cataclysmic time, because it was scary. There were times in March and April when I stood on lines at the wholesaler for hours in tears, thinking, what was I doing? Should I just close down like everybody else and just wait it through? But I know I've told you guys this before. I'm a determined type.
Yes, you
I'm a
are.
persistent chick. And so I would just pray and ask God to give me the strength I needed to get through that just one day, right? I just took it one day at a time. And thank God here we are. Navigating and managing more orders than we ever had, and I'm really, really, really proud.
That is such a wonderful story for us to, to have you in the community, to have you be expanding inside of this pandemic, and to be supplying jobs and training and development, and being a mentor, because you're mentoring young people, and you're also showing them the possibility of owning their own businesses in the community, because we've got so many talented young people that are coming up that don't know where to start, don't know where to look, and you're a great example of that. So, Dawn, just thank you for being you, for being just the person that is the beacon of light in this
Thank,
dark times.
thank
Really.
you. Thank you. And Glenn, I would like to speak to that because we got a great story at the Nourish Spot about one of our young people. So
Do tell.
when
Do tell.
we started in 2017, we actually, my daughter Jade, again, she set up all these partnerships with like Queens Community House, the Mayor's CCAP program, which is a culinary arts program, SYEP, the Child Care Center of New York. These are all nonprofit programs that partner with the Nourish Spot to provide internship training for culinary arts and hospitality to young people between the ages of like 15 and 24. One of the young people that we got from the CCAP program is a young man named Sebastian Roseway, who lives here in Jamaica, not far from Supton Boulevard. Sebastian was in high school when he started with us. And when he walked in the door of the Nourish Spot back in 2017 or 2018, he was so shocked that the store was owned and operated by a Black woman that he kind of was like out of sorts. But that immediate day before he left, he said to me, Miss Dawn, this is what I want. I want to own my own business one day. He's like, and I'm going to work hard here because I'm going to open my own business. Well, I'm happy to report today, and then I get a little overwhelmed when I talk about this, but Sebastian started his own LLC in a pandemic. In October 2020, Bash Eats was formed. Bash Eats LLC was formed. And now Sebastian is a operating business in New York City. And I'm really, really proud. So he works for us Monday through Thursday, and he works for himself Thursday through Sunday. I take great pleasure. And I'm telling you, we talked earlier about some articles and everything, but I take great pleasure in the fact that I had a hand in, my daughter and I had a hand in this young 19-year-old excelling and actually grabbing hold onto his dream and making it a reality. I'm so proud of him. And so I'm going to ask people that are watching to follow him on Instagram and Facebook. It's Bash Eats _ and try his food. Let me tell you something. I'm a regular orderer. I order regularly. Okay. I will be eating from him tonight. Okay. And this food is so good, it makes you dance. I'm not kidding. I'm
Well,
not kidding.
Dawn, I would love to have him on our show, Our World, Our Power, to talk about his endeavor and so forth. Bash Eats. So if you can get in contact with him and let him know that I'm going to give him a call and have him come on, because I love stories like this, wherein people in the community are advancing. It's, everything cannot be negative. These are the positive stories, and I like to get them across to our community, and
Oh,
that's wonderful.
I will definitely make sure he gets in touch with you, because for real, I'm just so proud of him. I can't even tell you how proud. And then all the staff in the store, they're so happy, right? Because he's always feeding us, right?
Uh-huh.
We get tired of eating salad every day. You can't. I'm an advocate of switching it up, right? So salad on the side, and I'll have some of his habanero shrimp on the other side.
Ooh,
Okay.
I definitely got
Okay.
to get that shrimp, because I'm a lover of shrimp.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And he's not far. He does his own delivery, and he's not far from you as
Oh,
well, Pauline. So definitely, please reach out to Bash. And yes, I'm really proud, you guys, of him. And there's two more businesses in the community. So we've served as a mentor, because I am a coach for the New York City Small Business Solutions. They established a new program called Black Entrepreneurs New York. And with that program, they established new relationships with people around the city, who have small businesses, or, they're CPAs or attorneys, and have asked us to serve as mentors for individuals looking to establish a business or grow a business. And so I serve as one of the small business coaches. And so I see it as my job. If people come to me and they say, well, I want to own a store, or I want to open a business, how to do that. One of the things that I must do is make sure that I refer them to New York City Small Business Services, because there are a whole host of free resources. I'm going to say that again, a whole host of free resources and people that are uh, hired and set up to help you succeed in business. So please make sure you take advantage of the resources provided by New York City Small Business Services. And so there were two young men that were friends of my son, that were interested in starting their own juice bars as well in Queens. And you guys know Queens is big, it's vast. So
yeah.
there's more than enough room. It's more than enough room for all of us to do business and to do good in business. So when they came to me and asked for help, what did I do? I helped them. So there are two businesses, one on Hollis Avenue, a young man named Barshawn. It's called Bar Got Juice. And so if you're on Hollis Avenue and you can't get to the Nourish Spot, go see Bar and tell him I sent you. Okay. And the other one is in Rochdale Village. Okay. That's Sean Anthony. It's called We Juicing. That's what it's called. Or More Juicing, something like that. But
Okay.
he's in Rochdale Village, and I consider myself a mentor for both of them. And I'm really proud, and all of us are doing well, and this is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, that sounds
That
wonderful. Glenn, let's have them on our show soon. Okay.
absolutely. And I want to, and again, Dawn, thank you for the leadership that you've shown in terms of mentoring and showing young people that they can go into business and is successful. I'm also going to put in a plug for the Small Business Solution Center on Sutphin Boulevard on the fourth
Yes.
floor, 9027 Sutphin Boulevard on the fourth floor. During the pandemic, you have to call them and make an appointment. They do it by appointments. And then you
Yeah.
also have the Small Business Development Center at York College. Both of
Yes.
these places will set you up to be a MWBE. That's a minority women business entity, and there are benefits to doing that. And they also show you the paperwork that you need and get you registered. The Small Business Solution Center is a one stop shopping, so you can get your licensing, you can get a host of other services there as well. And I believe there's also Business Solution Center down by the DMV used to be. So they're open as well. So they're, and again, most of the services there are for free. So you, as a new entrepreneur or want to expand, um, they've got consulting, they've got some advisors there for you to take advantage of. I want to get back to Dawn, and I want to hear about some of the things that you've been able to secure and where you have been named.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
do that. Go ahead, Dawn. Talk about it. Talk about
So,
it.
so wait, so one more thing before I talk about that, I also want to give a shout out to the Queens Economic Development Corporation, QEDC. They're also a great place
Yes,
to get
yes,
um training, because it's one of the places where I went to take a business entrepreneurs class, and it gave me a whole, it opened up a whole world to me. Okay, so I definitely want to shout them out, as well as the RDRC, Rockaway Development Revitalization Corporation, because
yes.
I'm taking a class with them now called the Amplified Queens Streetwise MBA, and that class is actually helping me learn how to speak to my financials in a way that I never knew how. So I want to make sure that you guys know about all of these organizations, because all of them have different benefits that can help you as an entrepreneur. Now, to the money, to the grants.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay, so last year in 2020, the first big grant that I was able to earn was a contest from Discover Card. So Discover had a program called Eat It Forward, where they were asking restaurant goers to name their favorite restaurant. And if you got enough, I guess, votes, then they would decide if you got a $25,000 grant. Well, thank God for the Nourish Spot and our nourishers, because we were able to secure a grant from Eat It Forward as a result of that contest. And it just got better from there. Um, there's a woman in our community. Her name is Tracy, and she is a representative of the Jamaica NAACP. And there was a young lady as well. She was the youth president. Her name is escaping me right now. But they came to visit me and to actually support the Nourish Spot. And they alerted me to the fact that Beyonce, yes, that Beyonce, was partnering with NAACP to give grants to Black owned businesses as well. And so I love Beyonce. I've been to pretty much all her and her husband's concerts. And so I applied, and we were able to secure that grant as well, which was a $10,000 grant. And so these monies actually helped us stay open, because demand in 2020 had gone down a little bit between March and June. And so those monies actually helped us to remain in business. But then after that, other opportunities came. True Fund gave us some money, LISC, Local Initiative Support Corporation. And that's a great story, because, again, when I worked for Prudential Financial, LISC was one of the nonprofit organizations that my company, well, the company that I was working for, Prudential, actually gave funding to help in marginalized communities around the world. Newark, New Jersey, places in New Orleans and Detroit, and so forth. And so for us to get a grant from LISC, for me, it was another full circle moment, because I had publicized the work that they had did in collaboration with my former employer. And look at me now, applying for a grant from them and actually being selected. So again, that was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. And then one of the last grants that we earned in 2020 was from New York City. And this was an excellent grant because they actually paid us to pay our staff a higher wage. So we already pay our staff basic $15 an hour. Some make more because they are team leads, but everybody else makes $15 an hour. But this grant, because a lot of families were struggling, part of the grant was give them extra money and we'll pay you to give them extra money. And you can't beat that, right?
No.
You give employees extra money. That showcases to them that you care for them and their families, and in turn, they want to work harder for you. And so we were happy to be able to do that, as well as not to belabor the point, but we did also give our students, because most of them are college students, since we were able to earn so much in grant funding, we also gave all of them bonuses, okay?
Oh my
Because
goodness.
I felt like it was important that they came to work every single day, like every single day that they were on the schedule, they came to work. And these children, most of them were suffering through COVID because they were all in the 12th grade. And their whole 12th grade experience was stolen from them. No senior prom, no
That's true.
graduation, no senior activities. I mean, many days I had to cheer them up. I mean, I had to literally say things like, and this sounds crazy, but it's true. We're alive. We're alive. Be happy for that. Okay. Be happy that you're not in a hospital hooked up to a ventilator. Be happy that you have a job and we didn't have to close. So it was a really testy time between like March and October. It was hard.
Hard.
And so each and every time we got some money, those kids that were with us, not the newer ones, but the ones that were with us, because we also hired 3 people last year with the money. And so the ones that were with us before we hired the new 3, we made sure to give them bonuses as well from the grant money that we got. So,
So they were getting hazardous duty or frontline pay
yes, sir.
bonuses, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because they were walking the streets of Queens, of South Jamaica, Queens, to get to work. They were taking buses and wearing 2 masks to get to work. They were quarantining. These are teenagers. They were quarantining on weekends and not hanging out with their friends in order to stay healthy and safe. And I appreciate it. Like, I tell them that every day, but I'm going to say it out loud here. I appreciate all of them. There's some really conscientious kids. And when people say that Black children aren't up to anything good, I can tell them that I got 9 of them that are up to good every single day.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful
Excellent.
story.
Excellent.
That's really beautiful. I have
And
to say
then,
that.
oh, I'm
Now,
sorry.
and now we're saving the last for best.
Yes. So, um, during the year, I also applied for a grant from Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's a beauty brand owned by a Romanian immigrant woman who says she came to the United States as a young woman, and she met with a lot of discrimination, not unlike what Black women go through today. And she and her grant committee established a $450,000 pot of money, which they told the world they were going to give 9 businesses $50,000. So I knew from the jump when I applied for the grant that there was a possibility that I would win for the Nourish Spot $50,000. So I applied like I applied for every single other grant. And I would tell you, there were some grants I didn't get. Like there was one from Spanx, Sarah Blakely. I didn't get that one. There were quite a few others that I applied for and I didn't get. But this one I did get. And it was not announced until the last Friday in February. What happened was this application process was unlike any other. Okay, I had to send in videos, I had to send in a narrative, I had to send in some documentation from the Secretary of State. These are all things that I did not have to do for many of the other grants. Okay, it was some hoops that I jumped through I didn't even know were around. I'll be honest, like the Secretary of State thing, I didn't even know that that was something that a business should have. So I actually learned through the process as well. And so the Sunday before the Friday that Anastasia announced it to the world, they had me meet them on Zoom. And I was in the store, and when the Zoom opened, there were these two white ladies, right? Because Anastasia and her daughter, Claudia, they're white women. And then I saw these little boxes at the top of Black people, and I assumed, rightly so, that it was the grant committee. And so when it opened up, I was like, shocked. So I'm like, Anastasia, and she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, wow, I'm getting low, like, okay. And so I said, how are you? And she's like, I'm fine. She was like, tell us about yourself. Now, mind you, I had already done that before in the video. So I'm really not sure what's going on. But I'm going to say what I need to say. So I tell them, I'm a healthy food haven. I tell them we provide jobs to children. I tell them, we work with partners in the community, all the things that I'm supposed to say. She asks us what we're going to do with the money. I tell her I'm going to reward my staff. I tell her I'm going to put money away so we can move into store number 2. We're going to bring some dressing to market. And then she says, we love everything you stand for. We love everything you do, and we are granting you $62,000. I was like, oh, I just started screaming because, okay, first of all, winning $50,000 is game changing, and $50,000 with no restrictions. Not asking me for anything, just giving me $50,000 to work on behalf of the business. I mean, that right there is a godsend. But for her to add $12,000 more dollars, I almost fell off my chair. I will kid you not. I almost fell off my chair. And from that moment, because I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, I wasn't able to talk about it to anybody until they announced it to the world. So I had to keep that secret for 5 days. Do you know how hard it was? Do you know how hard that was?
Because you want to scream it.
I couldn't tell my mama. I couldn't tell my sister. I couldn't even tell my daughter. So listen, I held that secret until my daughter says to me on Friday, Mommy, you need to check Instagram. And I said, check Instagram? She said, yeah. And she's looking at me a little crazy, like, yeah, you need to check Instagram. Like, you didn't tell me something, okay? And I see on Instagram that she has announced it to the world. She put out the video because they recorded the video. That's why they had me say all those things, because they recorded the video. Thank God I said all the right stuff, right? And they gave that video to all, they sent it out. I'm a PR person, so I know how that works. They had a PR firm send out the news release, send out the videos, and CBS actually announced it on the news. I was asleep. I didn't even know that happened. And also it showed up in People magazine, which is like amazing to me. Like just
Wow.
amazing. Yes, it did. It showed up in People magazine.
Congratulations.
Thank
Wow.
you. Thank you. And so that was just awesome. And that happened Friday the 28th. And then the following week, Glenn, the following week, like just 2
What else
days,
happened?
I'm in my house, kind of probably working on another grant application because I'm working on one pretty much every day. And I get a call from a friend in Philadelphia. And she's like talking to me kind of weird. You know, when you get phone calls from people, she's like, how you doing today? And I'm like, I'm fine. And she's like, you sure you're fine? I'm like, yes, I'm great. And she's like, I need you to look at something for me. I'm having problems with my my social media. And I said, okay, you know, send it to me on the phone. And so I hear ding, you know, like ding. And so I take the phone, I put it on speaker so that I could look at what she sent me, right? When I opened up that picture and I saw myself in the Financial Times, I lost it. I completely, as they say back in the day, I completely lost my gourd. I started screaming and crying because I spent 35 years of my life as a public relations executive. One of my biggest goals for any brand, but especially that financial services company that I worked for, my goal was to always have them in the Financial Times because it's global, it's international, it's seen everywhere around the world, it's translated in other languages. And for my face to be plastered in an article on International Women's Day, I even today, it's kind of hard for me to manage the feelings that I have about that article because it just goes to show that God will indeed make room for you and he will make sure that the world knows who you are as long as you do the right thing. So guess what? I'm going to keep on doing the right thing. I'm going to keep on providing fresh fruit and vegetables to my community. I'm going to keep on providing jobs and internship training to the children in our community. And hopefully I'll be able to do it in a bigger, more expansive way one day soon. And I'm going to keep on partnering with all of the organizations like the AKAs, like you guys, like the Deltas, like the ZZL Lambda chapter, Alpha Phi Alpha, you know, like Senator Comrie and Congressman Meeks and Allen, you know, listen, it takes a community. They say it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a community to raise a business. And I'm so appreciative of every single person. Like I tell you, I tried to write down all the people, Melva Miller, you know, the First Lady Simone Meeks, you know, I have down even the Queensborough President's Office, Sharon Anderson. All of these people have been so helpful to the Nourish Spot. Even the Queens Chamber of Commerce, we got a $2,500 grant from the Queens Chamber of Commerce to help us pay for gloves and for masks. Because you know what? Those distributors, masks and gloves cost 50% more than they cost before COVID. So everybody is trying to make money during this pandemic. And as a result of that, you know, costs are higher. Now, we didn't raise our prices. And I'm going to say this to everybody. We haven't raised our prices because I recognize that individuals are managing loss of jobs or, you know, loss of hours. But I need everybody to know that I'm a business and that I will eventually have to raise prices because everybody else has raised prices. Everything costs me more. Even blueberries cost more. But I have elected not to pass on that cost to my customers because of grant money that we've received that can help us keep the costs down until the world rights itself. And once the world rights itself, then I will look to my customer base to understand the need for us to raise our costs commensurate to what we're paying for food, fruits, and vegetables. Because business is not easy. You
No,
know,
it's
you
not.
gotta pay. You gotta pay for everything.
Well, our time is
Well,
just about up. Glenn, I know you was about to
Dawn,
say something.
Dawn, thank you for the work that you're doing in our community. We love that you're training folks, and we remember that small businesses supply the workforce for this country. So
Thank,
thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you. And I
thank
like
you.
I like to say you've been listening to Our World, Our Power. Don't forget you could check us out on Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn, Google Play. Don't forget also to follow us on our social media platform, Instagram and YouTube. Our YouTube channel, which is Our World Media. Thank you all for listening. Dawn, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. And come, let us nourish you at the Nourish
And
Spot.
where are you located?
10705 Guy R. Brewer Boulevard, Jamaica, Queens, New York, 11433. You could call us at 718-526-2099. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Nourish Spot.
All right. Thank you very much. And also, Glenn, how can people reach you, Glenn?
Sutphen Boulevard Bid, 718-291-2110.
All right. Until next week, take care, everybody.
Take care. Thank you.
Okay.